Hello, everybody. This is Frogman, and welcome back to Levitated. Last episode, I believe we did a few things. We got some of the oil up and running finally, so that we now have a decent supply of that stuff. And we did a couple of other little things around, namely making the one little goofy crystal that I was concerned about making. And if we get to it to the point where the end of the day is still kind of nice and decent amount of time to do a couple of things, we'll go ahead and build that flower today. But today, what I want to do with all that blah 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 rapid with the things, the kinds of stuffs and stuff, is we've got a couple of little things we're going to catch up on. First off, if you notice, there's some walls around the base and there's some roofs over some sections. And that is because I got tired of looking at the blackness that is right here. So eventually this is going to kind of, I don't know how I want to tier this up exactly, but eventually this is going to kind of meld its way up into that floor, so that we'll have a kind of an interesting angled roof that will come off of these sides, and then the sections may flatten out. Basically, I want to make this kind of a cross shape eventually move its way up into that what that stop sign kind of looking thing up there. So that's how we're going to work on it. I went ahead and just kind of filled in the walls, and I changed out some of the stone brick for one of my favorite things that comes out of Extra Utilities, which is that stone burnt brick. It is such a nice looking block. It's so good for just kind of dark, deep looking kind of things. It almost looks like a steel block lined with like dark steel or something like that. It looks really, really good. And all it is stone run through one of those resonators. So it's really kind of fun. We've done a couple other little bitty things around. Let me go down here. I don't think there was anything major going on. There was a thing that I wanted to touch on last episode that I completely forgot about, and actually I need to go grab something. In this pack, we're going to need certain amounts of dyes all the time. So let me see. Do we have something that we do not have going on that I'm going to need? That dude right there. If I grab this and I come down here, which is the mystical light gray flower petals. I wanted to touch on this and I completely forgot about it. This is my little automated machine for doing the growing of the flower, the double tall flowers that then go ahead. Let me fix my clippers really quick. You guys can get fixed all up. Thank you, because of the mana steel in them. It's wonderful. Thank you. Go, 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 go. Good deal. This is one of those things I forgot to, like I said, I wanted to touch on it. So what this machine does basically is I use a clock over here to do a couple of things. So what we do is we insert a mystical light gray flower in that, come on brain, mechanical user. And we then, let me do a little bit of this really quickly. I needed to do that. Okay, cool. Then we basically, what we have it do is the mechanical user will automatically plant the flower petal onto that piece of vivid grass. If I turn this lever off, that will allow that clock to run, which will allow this dispenser, which I'm using a dispenser again because a dispenser will not waste bone meal unless there's something in front of it to bone meal. So it'll bone meal that little petal, it'll make that grow into a double tall flower that will then turn this allow the mechanical user to hit that flower. Now, because I put it on the second block up, I don't have to tell any kind of magicness in this. It's just going to continuously try to hit something below it. And if there's nothing below it, it won't do it. If, in fact, that flower grows all the way up there, it will break it off. So then the flower will then be picked up by this vacuum chest, this auto crafter here, because of the fact that an auto crafter from Extra Utilities can pull from adjacent inventories or other crafters. Once you give it a recipe, it will, once I tell it what I want it to do, it'll pull the flower out of here, craft it into the petals, and then put them into here. So turn it on. Oh, I need to take my magnet off. I'm doing the wrong thing again. So now that we have a couple of flowers, and this is one of those things, if you wanted to do all 16 of them, you can. So now all I have to do is I have to put that in here, give it an inventory, and it will immediately start putting those in here as it needs to, and it will sit there and run until it either runs out of bone meal or until I shut off a few things. So that's how I've been duplicating a few of these other little flowers that we need, mainly because of the fact you're going to need the petals, you're going to need the dyes, you're going to need a lot of the other things. That's the easy way to do it. There are other methods. Eventually I may end up making a monstrosity of these where we're going to be crafting some of the stuff that we need all of the time. But for now, I think we're going to go ahead and do that because I don't really need a lot of those. Off. Thank you. Give me that. And you can do that one more time. Thank you. And I can grab all those. I thought I grabbed them out of that dang thing. Come here, you. Gimme. Come here. Thank you. It's kind of a picky little finicky little thing right now, but that's fine. So go ahead, do that one more time. Thank you. All right, cool. So we got it all. All right, I just wanted to make sure I got that shown off because automating these things can be a royal pain in the butt, especially when that is going to be one of your only ways to get dyes. And we're going to need to be able to get certain colors. I mean, I think that's the first time you're going to be able to get an easy way to get black dye aside from the, I think the thermal stuff. There's some black pigment. I think we can get black pigment through, yeah, that's still going to be the easiest way to get most of the dyes. So like black, red, green, or, you know, some of those other colors that you're going to need to be able to craft things, that's an easy way to get a hold of it. And if you're having a hard time getting a hold of lapis for other little things, you can definitely do that for the blues in here. So what we're going to do today is we're going to take care of the oil problem, and we're going to work towards plastic. I hope by the end of today, end of this episode, we're going to work through the entire process of getting that turned into all of the chemicals using Pneumatic Crafts process to get us plastic so that we can then start working on crafting our first circuit boards. And all the capacitors and all of the other little things that go along with it. So let me start by working with this little deal. Obviously, we have an ender tank right here full of black gold, liquid, whatever you want to call it. Liquid, I forget how that stupid thing goes. You guys can comment it on if you want to. I have an ender tank over here. There's another one over there by the oil well pump jack thingy that is connected to the side of it on a white channel so that we are bringing our oil back over here without having to make a mess. And of course, we have the initial fluid tank that we were playing with. We're going to kind of use a little bit of silliness. I have spent the last, I don't know how many packs using various mods to automate other things. If you've noticed, we haven't really touched on any of the fun stuff. And I believe here very soon we should be able to access, I don't know if they show you in here, but I do believe if at this point we can actually access applied energistics. And I'm not gonna fool with it right now. I don't really feel the need to automate with applied energistics. We've done it 100 times. We've got refined storage, we've got applied energistics, we've got a couple other things. So what we're going to do with this is I'm going to have a little bit of fun here. We're going to use the system here, which is the XNet extra utilities, whatever. We're going to use XNet to automate that process. And then what we're going to start doing is once we get that guy up and running, we're going to use Pneumatic Crafts automation for a little bit of fun. There's going to be some stuff we need to do. There's going to be some things that we're going to be building, and I want to use some of the oddball automations. So if I can use Botania, I'm going to use Botania. If I can use Pneumatic Craft, I'm going to use Pneumatic Craft. If I can use XNet, I'm going to use XNet. And after that, if I can't do it, then I'm going to be using Ender.io or Applied Energistics. So we got a whole bunch of parts over here that we're going to need in order to be able to do the whole thing. That's why we have this little chest here, because I need him. Let's start with the, we don't need you. You can go away. In order to get what we need to be looking at the plastic recipe. So liquid plastic is going to be made in a Thermo-Pneumatic processing plant. Now, Thermo-Pneumatic processing plant is going to take the LPG with some coal and make liquid plastic out of it. And it's 100. Oh, wow, that's a nice deal. It's 100 millibuckets with a piece of coal will get us 1,000 millibuckets of plastic, and I believe that is one piece of plastic. So it's kind of it gets pretty rough after a while. We need to be able to take the LPG that we're going to get from a refinery process, and we're going to do the Fortall refinery because we want to be as efficient with our oil as we possibly can. Plus, I want to be able to use a little bit of this diesel almost right off the bat to be able to make things work a little better. So we need 4 refineries. And a refinery is nothing more than a couple of diamonds and some of this stuff. So let's make some refineries. We need 4 of them. 1, 2, 3, 4. That should give us a little efficiency at its finest. Wonderful. Thank you very much. Now, we're going to need to be able to crack out diesel, gasoline, kerosene into LPG. So LPG, whatever. Oh, plant. Let's go. I believe we're going to need right around 4 of these. So 1, 2, 3, 4. And we may need the 4th for the 5th for whatever. And we're going to need a plastic maker, plastic thingy, plastic, that dude right there. So glass, done, over. Now we can set these up. And I think probably later on down the line, we will be setting several of these plastic mixers up because we're going to need to be able to continuously craft black plastic, the cyan plastic, and the green plastic. Those are the three you're going to be using pretty much all the time because this one is going to be used to craft it's in that thing, the transistors. The cyan is going to be used to craft the capacitors, and the green plastic is going to be what you're going to use to craft the empty PCBs. So we're going to eventually automate all of that wonderful fun stuff. Let's go put this stuff away. Do I still have enough? What did I do with all the... Where did the tubes go? Did we use them all? How many tubes do we have? We need a few more of those. The next step we're going to do with this is we want to make a couple of 3 or 4 compressors. And I'm not going to use... I could use these air compressors, but I think what we're going to do is, since we're going to be using the capability of liquid whatnot, we're going to make these anyway. Let's go ahead and make 1, 2, 3, 4 of these, and we're going to upgrade them to a liquid compressor. Man, speak. So we need a couple of more of those tubes. Let's just make a little bit of that. There we go. Cool. And we're going to use the liquid compressors. The reason why I want to use liquid compressors right now is because they're about the best compressor we have that is easily automatable versus coal. Coal will continue to burn, or these burnable based generators, compressors, will continue to burn fuel until the fuel cycle burns up. So they're a little bit harder to automate than some of the other ones. A liquid compressor will take any liquid that you can put in it as far as a fuel and burn it. And as soon as you hit it with a redstone signal, it will shut off and stop burning it. And if we look in here, we have an available fuels tab, so we can say we can use the LPG, we can use gasoline for refined fuel, fire, water, rocket, blah, 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 all this stuff, or we can use lava. Right there, we can use lava. So to get this process started, I'm going to borrow that tank right there. Since I already have I already have all that power stuff ready to go, we're going to go ahead and use that. Now, I made way too many little parts pieces, and that's perfectly fine. I wasn't planning on needing all of them, so we'll put that away. What was the gold for? I don't remember. What was the gold for? Oh, I probably pulled the gold out of the box. Whatever. The real gold redstone. I just want to make sure I had plenty of stuff in here to be able to make that work. Okay. Oh, and the other thing that I really am not excited about, we'll just use a bunch of this wisdom log because for whatever reason this recipe is not working. I don't know why, but we need a few of these too. And I knew I needed a bunch of that compressed iron, compressed steel, whatever you call it. We need a few of these as well. All right. And come on, brain. Back and forth. I thought I was going to be prepared for this. Couple of those too. No, I need more than that. And that was the other thing I needed. I knew there was something else I needed. I'm going to do 4 for right now. 4 or 5, that's perfectly fine. And then we need the vortex tubes. That was the other thing I knew I needed. I should have made a list. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, give me that back. Wonderful. And while we're at it, do we have a bucket? Let's go get one of those other things unlocked. We do. Cool. And then we can look at our advancements tab and see where we are. So I'm going to grab a bucket of that, and that should end that. Okay. So that got us our black gold. So we're to that. It says to go ahead and use a bit of this. So we're going to build the refineries. Then we have the polar vortex. This is how we're going to be. I love this. Still using lava for heating up your refinery. Nobody uses lava to heat up a refinery. There is no reason to use lava to heat up a refinery. A refinery, you can use so many different ways to heat it up. And the most efficient way, period, to heat up a refinery is with one of these things. So we're going to start over here. I think we're going to do it in a somewhat simple fashion, where we're just going to do the thing we did the last time. So we're going to stack a few of these up. And I don't want it to face the wrong way. Okay, so there's our 4 tall refinery. In the bottom of this, we're going to be inputting the oil that we just picked up. And the thing about a refinery versus everything else in Pneumatic Craft, and for those of you that have not played with Pneumatic Craft, again, the majority of everything that works with it is going to be running off of air pressure that we're going to produce with compressors. So like these guys right here, they're compressors. The refinery and the Thermo-Pneumatic plants, these guys right here, are the exception to that rule as far as pneumatic craft goes. These guys are going to need air pressure and heat. The refinery is going to only require heat. Hence the reasoning why they say in the comments in here, if you're still using oil or whatever lava to heat up your thing, a hot block or a temperature differential, some way of being able to produce heat is how you're going to make that thing function. For that matter, I can heat it up if I had one with a torch. That's a viable free way of making things work. Now, that's not going to be enough heat to get it to work, but if we look in here, the temperature should start to be rising very, very slowly. So if we look at one of these guys, they're going to be 22C. However, you can put lava, you can put torches, you can light fires underneath them, you can do all kinds of things. Pneumatic craft is rather trolly when it comes to how the heat process is going to work. And actually, I don't want to do that. I want to make sure that that thing is not there, because the other part about pneumatic craft and its heat cycle and its heat problem is the fact that it also requires insulation. And insulation is the reason why I made all these stupid wooden trap doors, because they feel the need to have to make sure that every single available air touchable block is covered or insulated. Come on, get up here. To include even the little producers right here. So we're going to have to do something like that. And I mean, if I had that torch underneath there now, it would be starting to warm up past a certain amount of what it was before. So even these guys, we'll go ahead and play along with the heat problem. So one of the good things about heat and heat movers is compressed of blocks of steel. They also serve as a great heat conductor and a few other things. We're going to have to make sure we also cover these so that there is no way the heat can get away from them. This is one of those parts where I'm not a huge fan of this part of the mod compared to where it used to be back in the day, but you know, it is what it is. And I wasted my time by putting those down. We're going to use vortex tubes and air pressure to create a heat differential or a temperature differential between two different blocks. And if you notice when I'm placing those down, there's a hot side and a cold side that shows up. Hot side, cold side, hot side, cold side, hot side, cold side. I want these things to run as quickly as we possibly can get them to work right now, even though we're going to be running really low on air pressure. So we can do these, then we're going to take our heat sinks, and this is a kind of a little bit more condensed version than the one I did the last time. At least, what did that go? That was interesting. Interesting. We're going to put you right there, and you right there. Now, again, because of the fact that this is not going to show us much of a temperature differential because we're not inputting any energy yet, you're not going to be able to see much of a change here. I'm going to cover no, I don't want to cover any of these. These are the ones we need. Okay, so we're going to use our fun little toy called the XNet communication system to move parts and pieces and things around. And I'm going to do it because of the fact that these connectors have the ability to access both the input and the output, as well as move energy around if we need to. So I also want to make sure that that direction is not connected, just for clarity. And what we're going to do down here is we're going to put first, just so these are labeled, because otherwise you will have a hard time understanding it and seeing it on how these things go. Now, I could color these. You can actually color these with different colors if you want to. I don't feel like doing it. And last. Spell it at least somewhat. Capitalize. Okay, cool. So what that's going to do is that'll let me know in the actual controller where each one of these are, which is a kind of a pain in the butt to find. And we're going to go ahead and connect that. This is going to be, again, first. And you can label these however you want to. You can label them as, you know, what's going on, what you're going to put in them. Oh, for Pete's sake. And again, last. And now that we have all of those set up, that'll work somewhat reasonably well. Because of how we've got this going, I unfortunately am going to have to kind of fiddle around with this a little bit. I really don't like how this setup works. And once we get away from these, it'll get a lot better. I have an ability to be able to kind of cheat this a little bit, but we're not going to. What we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and toss some pipes down. You can connect these compressors right straight to one of these things, to these vortex tubes, if you place them down correctly. So that little hole, if you look in there, there's a pipe sitting right next to it. So technically, this compressor would be able to feed that vortex tube as well as the rest of them. Putting them down like this, I don't believe connects, so that won't work. So what we're going to do is we're going to place a little bit of pipe right here, and I'm going to tell you that's south. No. So you're not connecting. I don't want to see any of that stuff. And then we're going to try. This is not going to work, is it? Because that's going to be in the way. Let's just put those down here. We have plenty of connectors. Like that. And a few more connectors. Now those, I don't need to be labeling them. I don't need to be doing anything with them. I could stack these up here. I could move that little thing up and bring it around and put these right on top of everything, but I want to make sure we have plenty of stuff. The biggest problem with pneumatic craft, especially with the lower end tubes when you're playing with them, is the fact that they can only carry 5 bar, and they act kind of like a fluid pipe where you actually kind of have to force pressure through them, and you get a certain amount of loss depending on the distance of how far away you go. So with a system like this, I want that compressor and that vortex tube and this Thermo-Pneumatic plant to be within 1 block space of each other, so that I'm not worried about wasting any amount of compression or air pressure or anything like that. So last thing, and I think we're going to do, is we're going to figure out where we're going to place this guy. He should go right there, and we're going to put a, and I can actually output into this. What we're going to do is we're going to take that tank that's full of stuff right now, and I don't want to do that. Can I just grab you? And you can go right there for now and empty that into, hey, give me, what, there, that button. Push all that into there. That'll be 16 buckets of stuff. And we need to get this thing running. So let's find our spot for our controller, which I think I will probably just build maybe right there. Because I want to have the ender tank for the fluid, which I may just put that ender tank right there once it dumps this thing. Yeah, I think we'll just do that. We'll just have that ender tank sit right there and auto output into that refinery. And then I don't really have much in the way of pipes that can handle this, so that's why we're doing what we're doing here. So we'll just put that lava up there for right now. Eventually what we're going to do is we're going to be using the LPG that this is going to be producing to power those generators, and we're also going to be knocking those down once we can craft a couple of things. So we'll pull lava out of those, we'll put lava into this, and we should be good to go. Let's just hook this guy up. And you know, I'm going to do it. I'm going to move him over. I think he'd look better if he's sitting right here. It wouldn't really matter either way. It's just it makes it for a shorter run of cable. Connector. No. I need that one anyway. That's a good idea. Let's see. We don't need the, what, I keep forgetting which direction it is. North. And a cable. And go. No. Down. There you go. And one of our fancy little wireless wisdom, or not wisdom thingy, one of our fancy little wireless RF transmitters that can do to this thing that will start powering this up. This does not take a lot of power to run. It does not take very much power at all to run. So what we're going to need to do now is we're going to need to transfer the first thing we need to do is make sure that our fuel system is functional, which means we need to transfer the lava out of that tank into these generators, which I know is kind of silly, but that's what we're going to do. So we're going to craft a Logic XNet energy fluid. We're going to extract from this one and insert into every one of these, like so. And that will get those guys filling up full of lava and starting to make air pressure. So now if we pay attention to this, as this starts to come up on pressure, we're going to start seeing a temperature differential exist or start to happen in these blocks. So as they start to make more pressure and as things start to go to work, this side is going to get really cold and that side is going to get really hot. which is going to in turn take these blocks right here and make them really, really, really hot. And the reason why I'm doing that is because this acts like a heat battery. It'll store the heat and it'll help spread it out between all of the sides of it. So that we're talking about a little bit of silly, goofy thermodynamics and whatnot like that. It all happens to go through in this process. The other thing that's going to do is it's going to start warming up this refinery. And as soon as that refinery hits 100°C, we're going to start producing some of the materials that we need. Namely, at this point, diesel fuel. So we're going to start with the next part, which is I want to be able to build the extractor from each individual little bitty Thermo-Pneumatic plant from the refinery into the existing plant. And this is where this gets a little busy. So we'll start right there. So I want to create another fluid, and I want to use you as an extract. Let's see, actually we need to find, nope, remove the channel. We want to make sure that we're looking for the correct thing. So that's the first one. This needs to go in here. There. Hey, I know, I saw it. I forgot to, did you? Oh, I removed it. Shoot. All right, channel 2, click the right button. You'll be okay. We want fluid, create, here, create, extract, whatever it's going to get out of there. I'm not even going to worry about filtering it. And then we're going to find the first one here. We're going to insert that in here. So that basically we're going to take the diesel out of the bottom block and we're going to put it into the first connector thingy, whatever. That's going to be the first major move. The second major move we're going to do is simply the same kind of thing. We're going to create one here. This should be second. We're going to create an extract from here and an extract from here, and we're going to input it into number 2. And the reason why we're going to pull an extract from this is because when this cracks the diesel fuel, it's going to crack the diesel fuel into kerosene, I believe. Then we're going to do the same thing here. We're going to create another fluid and extract and extract. I like how this kind of ends up making this little stair-step waterfall looking thing, and insert, and you're done. And the final one will be for the LPG, pulling the LPG out into the system and placing it into the last one. Create, wonderful, create, extract. This one will be create, extract, and this will be create, insert, insert. So that should take all of our stuff, move it out of the refinery, and put it into the adjacent or needed Thermo-Pneumatic processing plants, as well as remove the fluids from those things and move them over into the next thing after we crack them. Now, the last thing I want to do is I was going to grab that tank, and we're kind of waiting on this to empty, so we must be running right now. Very good. Does that mean we're having any diesel fuel show up? We have a little teeny tiny amount. And we're moving this stuff over. Excellent. Now, if you notice, we're getting our nice little temperature up here running decently well. We're at 129°C, which should be 130 here very shortly. The problem is going to be we're going to need a lot more air pressure to make these guys crack this into the next thing, as well as we're going to need a lot more heat, because that is not enough heat. I mean, it's 131°C at this point. It needs to be 300. Let's go ahead and do the next step, which is I want to also be able to carry a certain or keep a certain amount of the LPG around. Namely, we're just going to say we're going to keep this around because we're going to use this stuff later on. I might even just go ahead and put that up there where that door is. Now, there's another little interesting thing here. Did you notice I just removed that? Watch the temperature in that block go down because I removed it. If we didn't have all these covers on the outside of this little thing here, we would have a serious problem. We'd be losing more heat than we'd be making. So that's why I've got a bunch of this stuff going on. All right, you need to be hit with a pickaxe instead of an axe, and we're going to place you right there and spin the dial on you. And I'm going to hope that's going to work. Okay. Now, as long as there's some kind of a registered thing on the outside of this refinery or the outside of these Thermo-Pneumatic plants, like right now we're bleeding heat right here, and I know it, and I really need to go ahead and do the last little step, which is going to be this. Which is so dumb, but whatever. And I believe I can even just use like a single bit from Chisels and Bits possibly to just cover the sides of these, and I may eventually go back and do that because I really wanted the wisdom log doors, and I may end up cheating in some trap doors because for whatever reason they don't want to work. But let's go ahead and finish the rest of the logics. We have 3 more logic spaces that we need to worry about, so I want to finally say I want to extract the final product, which is going to be the plastic I guess I don't need to do that, do I? Yeah, I do, because I put that right there. Oh, shoot. If I'd have just left that alone, I could have just automatically injected that into there with a little bitty thingy, whatever. Who cares? We'll just go ahead and make this the nice way. Make it look pretty so we can actually see how much we have. We have another fluid. I want to remove the fluid from here, and I want to put it in this tank. And then I want to take that fluid from this tank. Actually, I don't need to do that, do I? Yes, I do. I want to run it that way. I want to run it that way, just so that I make that work decently. Because we're going to want to keep a bunch of the plastic on hand, because we're going to be needing it. And we're going to use that to place that in the plastic maker. Insert. All right, so that should technically move everything out of all of those things, move them down, and move it back over here. And actually, I want to take this tank and get rid of that. Cool. So everybody should be functional. Everything should be good. Eventually, what I'll be able to do is I'll be able to pull the LPG out of this system here and bring it and put it into one of those, to the compressors, so that we're not going to be using lava, because I do not want to be using lava the entirety of this process. Even though we've got, infinite lava, it still requires me to go move things around. So now the fun part is we need to make a balance of how we're going to keep this system working. And with the little bit of time we have left, I'm going to go ahead and make the how we're going to keep this thing working. I need to make a few buckets of a lubricant. So recipe on that, please give me, I don't know, about that many. Make one more. We're going to make a few buckets of lubricant. We're going to make a few buckets, or make a few speed upgrades, and then we're going to make this thing start to make us plastic. So in order to make a lubricant, we can do a use on this, I think, right? No? Diesel. Lubricant. This guy right there. Click. Go. Is redstone and diesel with a very low temperature. This is intended, I believe. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We'll do this. Go. There's a whole bucket of lubricant, which I'm going to do this with. And I'm going to grab some of this and come on down. We need down. I should have grabbed some of this beforehand. That's okay. I'll grab a stack of that. You guys can make me some sugar. And we're going to make a few of these speed upgrades to make this little process go just a little bit faster. Use. That thing. I'm going to probably end up with about 4 or 5 of those a piece in these generators by the time we get done with this. But go ahead, burn a little bit more, make some more pressure. As this thing can make more diesel fuel, which is kind of running really slow right now because it's not very hot. Once this warms up, we'll be able to do a few more things. So once that gets done and I get a little bit more of this in here, we'll be good to go. So what I'm going to do, I think, actually looking at the time on the clock, is we're going to do, let's see if I can find a good spot for this. I'm going to eat something while I'm at it. I really, really hate how that looks. I really, really do. I'm going to probably come back with some chisels and bits and fix this so you can actually see what's going on. I'm going to go ahead and take a little bit of a picture right there. I'm going to let this sucker warm up. We're going to build a few more of these things, and then I will bring you guys right back. Actually, bring you right back. Actually, I think at this point, all I have to do is do that. We have enough air pressure. We have enough temperature. We're making plastic. Hang on a minute. Maybe we're almost done. At least done with this one. I need some of this, which I already have, but that's fine. I know I made some. I made some in preparation for this. There it is. And the roses. There we go. Oh, wonderful. The other thing about that is like those double tall flowers those things, you can put this flower in that little thing downstairs and it'll do the exact same thing. So if that's all we needed for now, we wanted to just make some plastic. So I put that and that and that in here. I have a full tank of plastic. Well, that means I can do that and that, and that. Oh, dang it. I wasn't here quick enough. Contains PCB. Give me those back. Put that in here. Oh, I probably should put a little bit of that in there. You can have one of those, and you can have one of those because we're getting ready to use some stuff. Come on, guys. You're slow. I'm going to be putting speed upgrades in these dudes, too. They're going to get speed upgrades as well. I shouldn't have put so much in there. Well, as soon as it gets that put in there, and then it pops the next one in, then we'll be good to go. But yeah, I'm going to definitely make a whole bunch of speed upgrades for this thing as well. So now we're going to pop those in. The next piece should be a couple of pieces of compressed steel ingots. I think you can actually put, like, security upgrades, just volume upgrades. I forget. There it goes. Bloop, there went the first one. Catch it. Catch it, catch it, catch it, catch it, catch it. We're already long enough. Come on. Bloop, there it goes. Nice. Bloop. How are we doing on pressure? Pressure's staying nicely. Of course, I just put these guys in there, and those might burn for a while. I may have to make a few of those. Awesome. Cool, cool, cool. All right, so yeah, what I'm going to do after that, now that we have our nice little empty PCBs, is we're going to have to do the next step of the process. So, in between episodes, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a whole bunch of this plastic that we're going to get, and I'm going to go ahead and make the capacitors, and the transistors. Trans, not trash. Transistors. Where do they go? They are black. They look like that. There we go. Or gray, whatever color that is. And those will require some more plastic. We're going to make enough stuff to be able to automate the process of doing all of the fun stuff without having to deal with the silly UV light box. But for now, I think what I'm going to do is you're doing okay there. You're doing okay here. Do we have no diesel fuel? We do. There's another bucket of that. Make more of this. And this, use, make another one of these, click, thank you. Eventually all these will probably have about 4 speed upgrades in them so that we can continuously make things a little bit better and a little bit faster. As soon as everything gets hot enough to function here anyway. So, all right, guys, I think with that, we're going to call it. We got some of the new parts that we need to do. We got our nice little refinery system set up. Once this is all up to temperature, it's going to make a really, 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 really efficient fuel, which we will probably be using to create power up there, maybe. So, all right, guys, I will see you guys in the next episode. Thank you so much for watching. Bye now.